Hello everyone, Malphite here, and today this is what you have been waiting for. This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown, as Linkin Park would say in the world song. And yeah, this is the tier list of the LEC 2025 season, so next year's season, and I will be ranking these teams based on how I think they can do overall. So this is not just gonna be the winter split or something, how well they can be at the beginning. I think this is going to be how strong they can be overall. So let's start with Rogue. Also, if you want to look at the rosters, here are the rosters. You can see Rogue only has Larson confirmed so far, but I already received multiple comments about where is the LEC tier list and so on. So I'm going to do LEC tier list with Rogue in this state. And since I only have one player confirmed and no other players confirmed so far, I'm just going to put Rogue into D tier. And I'm doing this, but if they get some insane roster or something, if they manage to sell their spot and so on, get some, imports from China or whatever, I don't know. But I think, they are basically D tier for now, and that's about it. Next up, we have BDSA. So let's look at BDS, not the Academy, just BDS. So let's look at Team BDS. We have Irrelevant replacing Adam. We have 113 replacing Shio. We have Nuke, Ice, and Parus. So, what do I think about this? I think Parus is basically a side grade to Labro. I think he has more potential. Also, G2 were interested in him. So he was first choice of G2, but in the end they got Labro because Parus went to Team BDS. Nuke and Ice, probably their two best players. Staying on that team if we don't count Labrov, but Parus was also good. And then they replaced Shio with 113 because they wanted Skewmon originally, but they got 113. And then we have 11 replacing Adam, and I think that's an upgrade. So Team BDS upgraded, but how well did they upgrade? Well, if you asked me like at the beginning of the offseason when they were like the first team confirmed with their players, I would put them higher. But given the other teams, I'm actually going to put them in B tier. I'll explain everything later, so don't get crazy. Don't go into the comments being like, how can you put them into B tier? They're actually really strong. You'll see in a bit. Okay, next up we have GX. So GX ended up cooking a lot in the LEC offseason. We have a lot, they cooked a lot. Replacing De Antonio. So De Antonio broke his contract. He wasn't playing poker or something, but he was not really good by any means. And I think he was definitely the player that we would expect not to stay on the team. Lot is pretty solid. He's one of the hyped rookies coming into the league. So that's pretty fine. I would still consider this an upgrade given that Lot is a rookie and De Antonio already was a bit older, and when he was playing poker, he was probably not that interested in playing League of Legends anymore. We have Juhan getting replaced by Closer, so we know that they could have gotten Yankos, but Yankos there were some issues. The Shibi Sports article said that maybe he was too expensive, but there are some also other issues behind the scenes and whatnot, so we don't know the details, but Closer is a very solid jungler, so another upgrade in the jungle role. Then we have Jackie's their best player and the only member that they keep from the last iteration, which I think is the best choice because Jackie's is a really big talent, a really big hype rookie from last year. And then they managed to snatch Noah and Jun from Fnatic, which was actually a really good part of Fnatic last year. So I think this roster is really, really strong. How strong do you ask? Well, now again, maybe some of you will get angry, but they're actually a B tier roster. The order doesn't matter. I'm just putting them into the same tier as BDS. They might prove to become like a lot stronger than BDS, maybe a lot weaker, maybe the same. Why are they in B tier? Well, they're a new roster, four players replaced, right? A lot is changing. You never know how the players are going to mesh. But also, I think they will be kind of middle of the pack. So middle of the pack basically means like 5th place, could be 4th place, 6th place, somewhere between 4 and 6. But, they could definitely manage to be top 3. They could make it to Worlds even. But on average, I think this roster will kind of be in the middle of the pack. I definitely want them to surprise me. But so far, it's a B tier from me. Next up, we have Fnatic. So, many people are disappointed. Many people are happy. How do I feel about this? So Oscar is being kept. So the whole top side actually is being kept. So Oscar, Razork, and Humanoid. Many people are complaining that Humanoid is not as good and that he's washed. But look at the other mid lane options. He's still one of the best mid laners in the league, even though he performed badly on in the Worlds. Even though people say he's paycheck stealing player, he's still one of the best players. So nothing you can do about that. It doesn't really matter how you feel about him personally. He's still one of the best players, and Razork is probably the best jungler in the league. So they have the best jungler, one of the best mid laners, and Oscar, I would say he's like a middle of the pack top laner. I wouldn't say he's good as Broken Blade or Irrelevant or maybe even as good as Kana, but he's like maybe number 4 in the league so far at least. We don't know who Rogue is getting. And that's like good enough. You're like the 4th best top laner, the best jungler, like 2nd or 3rd best mid lane. So all of this is really, really good. And then you have Upset Mickey, and many people are complaining like Upset is washed and Mickey is an inter. But I think, you know, getting rid of Noah and June is probably one of the better options, because I don't think you would find someone better than Humanoid or Razork. And you know, changing top lane is not such an impactful thing as you might think, and I think Mickey is actually really good in like macro stuff. And Upset actually, if he wants to play with Mickey and he has better support than he had last time, which is like Targamas, he can actually be really, really strong. And so I believe that this is actually an upgrade for Fnatic, and that we are going to see a very strong performance from them in the next year, and that is why I'm going to put them in the A tier. Next up we have G2. So G2 kept Broken Blade, Caps, and Hans Sama, and then they got Skewmon instead of Yike and Labro instead of Mickey. So ultimately, I think both of these are downgrades, but Skewmon has a potential to be better than Yike by the end of the year, so that's the time when the Worlds come. I think Labro is just a downgrade compared to Mickey. I think Mickey brings a lot more to the team and so on, but maybe, you know, when Mickey is inting, he's really bad. When he's not inting, he's very, very good. So maybe Labrov just brings a bit more stability into the roster and just makes it a bit more stable overall. So for G2, I think a bit of a downgrade, but considering their coaching staff, considering all their all the rules and all the whole environment they have, it would be foolish not to put them into S tier. So they are the S tier in this league. Next up, let's see, we have KC. So KC, again, a very, very hype roster. So they're keeping Kana, they're replacing Yike they're replacing Closer with Yike. Yike is very, very strong jungler, obviously coming from G2. They get Vladi, and they have the Kalis Targamas in the bot lane synergy. Everyone is waiting for this. All the fans are hype. And I think this roster will do really, really well. But how well? Yeah, I think just B tier again. You know, you might say I'm crazy, but I think any of these teams, KC, GX, BDS, excuse me, I think all of these can perform basically the same. Like they can all surprise and be really good, like at the top or like A tier, but also they can, you know, something can happen within the team and they can be like C tier. So yeah, this would also be viable to put KC in A tier, but I think these teams are all at the same level, and so for me it's B tier for now. So what about Koi? So Koi wasn't performing very well, but they kept most of their players, so whatever they learned throughout the year is most likely going to stay. And they have Jojo Pune replacing Frescoe, and I think this is a massive upgrade in the mid lane. And I think Frescoe was also the reason why some of the game, like they were losing some of the games. And so this might be a foolish take, but I'm actually going to put Koi in the A tier, because I think at least at the beginning of the year they are going to do really well. And so yes, I am putting them over KC, GX, and BDS. But you know, doing something like this could also be fine. You know, I think teams in the A and B tier in my tier list are very, very close. Same with S. Like G2 could also, you know, be in the same tier as A, but you know, I think these 6 teams, like a nice, I like this pyramid shape, this triangle, but these 6 teams are basically going to be the strongest teams we have in the region. I'm kind of spoiling the tier list now. So SK Gaming, we have Janax replacing Irrelevant, Ismai staying, Reeker is replacing Niski, we have Rahel staying, and Loopy is replacing Luon. So I think both top lane and mid lane changes are a bit of a downgrade, but there is some synergy coming from the BDSA Academy for Janax and Reeker, and then we have Loopy replacing Luon. I think this is like a side grade to maybe a potential upgrade. Rahel and Loopy, they were playing already together some time ago, so maybe they're more of friends, and you know, if you play with someone you're friends with, then maybe you enjoy playing more and so on. So I think this is mostly like a side grade, maybe downgrade, potentially upgrade if they like playing with each other, and so on and so on. But just given the strength of, you know, the other teams, I'll have to put SK in the C tier, because I don't think they're as strong as the, you know, teams in the B tier, for example. Next up, we have Team Heretics. So we have, you know, we had the G2, the former G2 players on this team. And now we have Carlsen, Shio, Kamilu, Flacket, and Stan. So except for Flacket and Shio, these are all rookies. Carlsen is coming from Los Heretics. Kamilu is coming from the Easy Dream, the second division in the LFL, the historic signing of a player who wasn't even playing in LFL, but second division. And then we have Stan, a solid support from, was it Team Heretics Academy? I'm not really sure. But basically also from the ERLs. I think this is like the worst roster in the league, so I'm gonna put them in D tier. But I think Rogue has a potential to build a basically similar roster even now towards the end of the offseason. There are still some players available to even be like a better team than Team Heretics, but you know, they're trying something different. They got cheap players, they are trying to see, they got together like some really strong rookies, and they're trying to see how well these rookies can do, and maybe they'll find some talent and then build their team around them in the future seasons. And then finally, the last team we have is Team Vitality, and Team Vitality, we have Nagnako replacing Photon, Linsa staying, we have Chaig replacing VTO, and then Karzi and Hilasang staying. So both changes in this team, I think, are a bit of downgrades. I think Nagnako is a very, very strong prospect and a strong top laner, so I don't really see this as a bad pickup, especially if they want to, you know, build this player, you know, play around him, kind of make him the player of Team Vitality. I think one player doesn't belong, and that's Chaig. I think they should pick up a better mid laner, but so far, you know, we just have to hope that he's going to do well. But overall, I think a bit of a downgrade from the previous roster, and so I don't really see this team performing as well as the other teams in the B tier, but also better than teams in D tier, and for that I'm gonna put Vitality in the C tier. So I think we have clear top 6, then we have like clear 7 and 8, and then we have 9 and 10 in Rogue and Team Heretics. So this is my LEC tier list. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if I'm delusional or if you like the tier list, and so on and so on. Let me know everything in the comments. Make sure to like the video, you know, stay rock solid, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.